Hi, Kay. Good
It's so
morning.
lovely to see you. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to me. You're in,
Yes, good afternoon.
yeah, you're across the pond in Georgia. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
correct. Yes.
Great. And what's the weather like for you today?
I think it's very cold.
Yes.
Yes, getting an
Um,
Arctic blast.
winter weather. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to have a chat. As you know, I'm always interested in talking to interesting and inspirational people, and obviously we've had several connections and conversations over several years now. And one of the things that's come out of this is how fiercely successful, independent, motivated, determined you are as a human being, as a woman, as a mother, as a business owner. And all of those things are really cool and inspirational. And I think what triggered this particular conversation was a throwaway comment you made recently, which was something like, going from teenage runaway to multi-million pound dollar business. Do you want to speak a little bit to that? That's quite a big wow, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. You just made my morning. I appreciate it. Yes, so many years ago, I was a teenager. I was quite lost. And I was a teenage runaway. I had drug problems, and I pretty much just kind of went with whatever was happening. I let the world take me, and instead of like taking control, kind of lost control inside of a lot of things. Um, I went to the ninth grade, and then I quit. In the 10th grade, I woke up drunk in my friend's apartment first day of school. And I thought, well, I don't need to go to school. So I didn't go to school for 2 years. And I joined Rocky Horror Picture Show as a experiment, and became part of that cast for a while. They became like my family. Was a lot of fun. Wasn't exactly the healthiest thing in the world for a teenager, but it was a lot of fun. And then at about 17, 18, I decided I wanted to go back and get my diploma and get clean. So I joined like AA at the time, NA. That's the only resources I had at the time. And I went back to high school. I tested out, I got my diploma, and I started on the path of what I thought would be, my path. I got a job. I was waitressing at the time. I was, writing stuff. I was writing poetry. And I found NLP, and I found kind of what I believe was the path to me. I don't know if you want to call it saving myself, but going in a different direction.
Wow, there's a lot in there, and it's such a common background to people who determine to create a new future, a successful future. What you've got in there is that mix of abilities to be really creative. You said you wrote poetry. I think that's always a great expression of deep emotions that need to come out in some way. Being involved in theatre or any kind of, again, an expressive
Mm.
creative industry. They're really great for getting the right hemisphere into the right place to help you. And
Right. Yeah.
interestingly, you mentioned AA, which I'm such a super advocate for. I have seen people absolutely transform their lives. And
Yeah.
maybe we can speak to that. But importantly, the thing that
Mhm.
brought us together
Yes.
was your journey into and through and maintaining connection with neurolinguistic programming and the
Yes.
profound effect that has had on you, taking you from being at the mercy, the whirlwind of life as it was hitting you, to starting to rebuild,
Yeah.
restructure.
I I really grabbed onto it. I love NLP. I think I told you I am NLP. Like I feel like it's how I think. It's the language that I use inside my brain. It is an incredible technology, tools, science, therapy, whatever. It's so many things that I feel that, it helped me save myself. It helped me find a language to use to explain some things, to also get to where I needed to be. So I got into NLP. I got into trainings. I started to work for a trainer, and I really just studied day and night. I just fell in love with it and had as many, videos. And back then we were, not the intranet and not the internet. So, tapes and VHS tapes and seminars, live seminars. And then I did that for a few years, and I wanted to see what I could do outside of that field, outside of like doing NLP. And I've always loved sales and math, and I thought, okay, I can do something. And I had some various jobs, and it's only when I went to get a house in my mid 20s that I think just to add, I grew up with a single mom, so whenever something needed to be done, we did it. We didn't have the resources to go hire somebody. We fixed it. We figured out how to do it. And so I kind of also brought that mindset with me of, okay, if something needs to happen or be done, I can figure it out. So I went to go get a mortgage, and I was treated terribly. Uh, I felt, by the bank. I didn't felt like heard. I didn't feel that lady listened. I didn't have a knowledge at the time growing up. We didn't talk about credit and finances. So that was on a Friday. I had found a house I wanted. And on by Monday, I had a job as a loan officer. Had never done loans before. I just thought I could do this. I could do my own loan. That's how it started. So Monday, I started my job. 90 days later, I was the top loan officer in that brokerage, in that company. And 90 days after that, I was kind of the sales manager, talking to people down from, like, kind of like the mortgage whisperer title that I have been given, where I can just calm people and talk them down and kind of find out what their objections are. And then that was 25 years ago. And I've closed over a billion, maybe even 2 billion at this point, Mark was pointing out, in loans. And last year, this past year, closed about 139 million in business. It's been a long, it's been a long road, but it started with, I can do this. Why not? If somebody else can do it, why can't I? And I think that feels like the premise of like modeling in NLP. Well, if somebody can do this, I can do this. And how specifically are they doing this? Let me find out. Let me talk to them and interview them and model them and take what I want and what I can use and what I could fit with myself, and sort of like put all these pieces together of how and who I want to be in the space.
Yeah, fantastic. And what that also suggests to me is, so you had some skills and you sought some skills and developed
Yeah.
them, but as well as that, you seem to have had an innate set of, I don't know, characteristics, personality, facets that enable you to think that way, which is, I can do that. Because as we know, there are people who have studied NLP, who are long time NLPers, and they still don't get that determination, that
Yeah.
strength and vitality to keep going towards something that you really want. And
Yeah.
that I can do anything attitude is such a cool attitude. Um,
Yeah. I think I have just enough grasp on reality to be to be able to realize that, the reality is what you make it. I mean, and I say that as a joke, but like, I didn't have, because I didn't have the kind of the traditional upbringing of being in a classroom and, oh, you can't do this. I kind of just made my own rules, sort of. Um, NLP fit perfectly for me because, oh, okay, what reality do you want? Let's make that reality. But in all seriousness, I used circles of excellence a lot. And um, I used my version of that where I saw behaviors. I used Ericksonian hypnosis a lot, where I saw behaviors in people that I wanted and thought, okay, well, it's a behavior. Why can't I borrow it? Why can't I try it on? And then I would, and then I'd say, okay, I like this. It's working for me. I kind of had like a gauge in my brain. I'm also really interested in Tesla, how he tried things on and to see if it worked in his brain. So I would do that with behaviors and skills and see, okay, does this fit for me? And then if I liked it, I would try it in real life. Definitely made lots of mistakes. That's all part of the path in life. And if something doesn't work, I feel like it's a sign. Like I don't feel like I have that stigma. I'm sure I've had it in my like youth, but in the last 20 years, I don't feel like I've had that stigma where if you do something wrong, it's you're a bad person. It's just a signal to change course.
Yeah.
That's how I look at things. If you're doing something and it doesn't work, well, then try something else. I mean, that's truly like the basic, simple message that I want to give people.
Yeah. And that's a really powerful one because you've smoothed over a big chunk of time. But one of the reasons I love talking to you is because a lot of your path mirrors my early years as well, and I know that there would have been significant difficulties with children, being a single parent and everything that goes with that, and merging families and step parenting and
Oh, yeah.
relationships with. So I know I understand, a lot of those difficulties. What I love to hear you say, and I've heard you say it a few times, is that you found that one of the NLP presuppositions is no such thing as failure, only feedback. And I think
Right.
you've actually used the phrase failure fuels me. So you
Yes.
took the feedback and fed it forward into the direction that you
Right.
wanted to create more of. And that takes a lot of determination, doesn't it?
Yes. That's very well said. Yes. That's very true. Yeah. It does. It also takes you getting rid of, what people call the ego,
Yeah.
where you just are, oh, I made a mistake. I feel terrible. I messed up, and there is, of course, moments of that, but you don't live in it. You want to honor your feelings because it just doesn't feel great to fail or to make a mistake, but you want to use it, as you said, failure fuels me.
Mm.
And it's a failure feedback kind of loop.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That feeds
you know,
forward.
it feeds forward. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So a little bit about your general mindset. A question I often ask clients is, what's the first thought that you have when you wake up in the morning, typically? And what's the first thought that you have when you're about to go to sleep, typically?
So um, I really kind of clear my mind in the morning. I wake up curious. I always wake up curious. I always feel kind of that sense of it's Christmas morning, sometimes more than others, but I just wake up typically like, what is going to happen today? What, like I feel one of my beliefs that I love is, anything is possible. Um, and so what could happen today? I mean, there's people that yesterday their lives were completely different, and today it's like this amazing magical thing, you never know what's around the corner. So I think that's one of my beliefs is you never know what's around the corner. And to me it's exciting. It's like peeking into the future. What is there? What can we see? What's going to happen kind of thing. So that's my mindset. And then let's see. The other question was, uh,
Well, we'll come back to the other question. I just want to pick up on that. So you peak it, that curiosity, that childlike energy, which is can do anything, can't you? In that childlike energy, what's possible. Somewhere when you're peeking into the future, there must be several timelines. One of them presumably is a timeline that you desire and you've put in some sort of targets or goals or outcomes in that timeline. But I'm guessing also that you're running some kind of timeline that says, well, you know what, whatever happens, I'll deal with it. Would that be true? Is that how it is for
yes. Yeah, I think that one of my main timelines is the what if timeline, like
but in a positive way?
in a positive way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we see in the work that I do, some of the most tortured minds run the what if program in a negative way.
Oh no. I have that one too. I just have to I have to flip the
Don't keep
switch. I no, I definitely have come from a long line of like anxious, anxiety ridden, people. So I have used NLP to help with that as much as I can. And part of that is having, I joke and say the delusion, but everything, I mean, what is really real in the sense of what you create in your mind is not real until it's out here. So why not, think about what the best scenarios could be. It is childlike and it is kind of a magical place to be. And, you know, I I do use the what if I could. I mean, I have people that I talk to, like in my field of mortgages, loan officers that are, I can only do 10 million a year at the production I have. It's very production based. You're as good as your production, right? Kind of thing. And because it's a numbers business, so how many clients, how many closings, And I two things about that. One is for for me, it's what if you are wrong? What if you could?
Yeah,
I always think it's easier to move somebody from absolutely not to maybe. I feel like maybe and what if is a really powerful place to be
yeah,
for a while, and maybe you can, maybe you're wrong about yourself.
mm,
What if you could do all the things that you thought you couldn't do? What if you could achieve this? Like all of those things open the mind back up.
yeah,
Um, and that's kind of the place that I live in because I don't know. And the truth is, none of us really know. We don't know what's coming or what we're capable of and what we can do until we give ourselves the opportunity to, what is that? This is going to sound weird, let ourselves off the leash of our belief system.
yeah,
We have this belief system that we just kind of picked up randomly and we think it's who we are. And it's not who we are. It's what we were in, it's the environment we were in. It's what we were picked up, what we were told, all of these things. What if, see, there you go, and this is
yeah,
how where I live. What if we could choose our beliefs? What if we could revisit that and figure out, well, does this match my goals? Because they should, because if they don't, then you have the incongruency, and then you have all these parts that you got to sit down and have a parts party. You and I talked about that. I've had many parts parties. And I know I'm sort of going off on a tangent, but all of this is really connected.
yeah, yeah. And your ability to influence people in your field. I mean, obviously you're successful in your sales, but also to influence your colleagues and peers with those seeding questions of, well, what if you're wrong? What if you could? As you've perfectly articulated, then once you've got that buy-in, which I'm assuming you're getting a good closure on that to keep that movement forward at that pace, then it's a question of how do you put in place the skills to move forward once they've overcome the obstacle of, well, I can't, or I don't think I can. Once you've removed that, then it's a question of how. Do you give advice when do you help people to find their how?
I hope I do. Yeah, that's something that I'm working towards, with you. Also helping me to help people in my field and to find their how and their why as well. Because earlier I said, it's a numbers game, so to speak, when it comes to production, but when it comes to this business that I'm in, it's not a numbers game. It's a human game. It's somebody's house. And growing up, I bring with me the feeling of, we lost our house in foreclosure. So we rented for most of my adult life and my teenage life. And it was a really big deal for me to buy a house. And I bring that into what I do. And the first thing is helping the person in front of me and being present with that person, asking the right questions, hoping that we can help them get to where they want to go. So, like, for me, making money is not even in the top five. The top, I have why I do this, why I'm so passionate about what I do, and whether you're in mortgages or sales or anything, you have to find your why that drives you and be passionate about it. I think that um, that's the fuel that keeps you going as to why you do what you do. But
What is your why then? If you were to summarize it in a sentence, what would you say your why is?
yeah, I believe if I was to summarize it and kind of do like what it just the the core of what I do, right? So I shared with you that I love Connie Ray Andreas's core like transformation, like getting to the core of, why are you feeling this way or why do you do the things you do? And really, I want to give people hope and homeownership. Hope and homeownership. That's good. I should have that as a marketing thing. I
I
like that.
think so, yeah.
Um,
And maybe a title for a book, hey?
Yeah, I like that. So, um, when I started, first of all, there was not a lot of women in my business, and especially not successful women. I was the first woman who was number one in the state of Georgia. And I remember going up and some man made a comment because I was pregnant too at the time. And he was like, "Oh, do I have to be pregnant to get, to win number one?" Like I was the first woman in the state to get that title, which was really cool. Um, and I think I saw a lot of people, not just women, but I saw a lot of people getting taken advantage of with what I called not, unfair lending. And I felt very protective and I wanted to be an advocate for people. And I saw and heard a lot of people also that had just lost hope. I could never buy a house. My credit's this, my income's this, all of these things. And I wanted to help them because I remember how that felt, and I'm very protective over people in general, whether it's mortgages or me just walking down the street and I see somebody who needs help. My mom raised us to be a helper, and that's how I feel. I'm a helper in this world. I want to look out for people to help them. And so this field that I'm in helps with one of the greatest things that we can have is our home. That's a big deal, and having that feeling of having a home. I remember when I bought my first home, and even years and years later, up until literally the last 10 years, I didn't really put pictures on the wall because I had that I carried with me. I took care of this recently, but I carried with me that, like, I'm just going to move mentality and to plant your feet and be, sort of that where your feet are, be where your feet are, which is a mantra I use to help me with also my anxiety, by the way. But to be able to have a home, to put pictures on the wall is so significant. So I think that's my why. That's a long answer. I'm sorry.
Well, it's a good one, and
Yeah.
you know the moment you start honoring your relationship with the space around you, with whatever it might be, pictures, plants, beautiful things, and you get into relationship with a functional space, that signals all sorts of really positive things, not only to your brain and your nervous system, but to any visitor. And
Yeah.
I would say on a spiritual level to the universe. That's a
Yes.
really nice conversation to be having to the universe, which is to say, I am in good relationship with not only my inside world, but also the space around me.
Yeah, it feels good to plant roots, as they say, and to be part of a community. And I have that where I am, and I didn't really have that growing up, so it's beautiful. So to help people to achieve that is incredible.
So and are you part of a community now? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've been and I've sort of been part of a community since I moved to Atlanta. Atlanta's got great neighborhoods and communities, and I raised my kids in a city called Decatur, and just it's just nice. It's really nice. The teachers, the neighbors, it's just a lovely community of people that are like-minded and diverse, and it's great. Yes, and it feels good to be a part of that because I didn't have that really growing up. It was just me, my mom, and my sister, kind of us against the world type thing. And so yeah, it's nice.
What
It's
do you
really
think is
lovely.
the magic ingredient, if there's such a thing? Because many people who've been through those early years of disadvantage or difficulty take it to the place of victimhood. I can't do anything. It's not my fault. I had
Yeah, I've
and
seen that.
but actually that there's something like a spark within you that has not entertained or tolerated that.
Yes. That is interesting. I have a friend that I've known since I was 13. So I was in a girls' home. I was in a girls' detention center for 2 years. I still have you can't see it, but I could see my award for getting out. And basically it says to thy known self be true because it was a 9-month program and I was in there for 2 years and they basically just kicked me out. And they said, you know what's right and wrong and you choose you've chosen wrong for months and months, so we're gonna just let you out and you figure it out. Because it was just a I was there twice as long as I should have been. And really that's one of my mantras too. I mean, that's one thing that, to be true to yourself. And my friend and I were talking about we're two or three of the only girls that sort of made it out. Some of the girls that didn't make it, some girls are no longer with us. And so, what is the spark that keeps me going is the same thing that when I wake up in the morning, because I have fought, traditional depression, all of the things that NLP, I believe, has helped me with. And I'm not to say that I'm perfect because there's days that, of course, I still feel like, okay, I got to get out of bed, or I'm just like, I'd rather just stay inside today. I feel like a few things. One is you have to honor where you are, but you can't sit in it. That's my rule. You can't sit in it because that's when you go, woo, down into the well, and then you're looking up and there's like a little bit of light. Um, and I just feel like, um, I don't know. It's sort of like the, this is what it goes back to. This is kind of the trigger of the visual of it. My mom took me to see Annie, the musical Annie. We didn't have a
Oh,
lot of money growing up. Okay. We didn't go on vacations. We went on maybe one vacation my entire childhood. But my mom was really into great literature and music and musicals. And anytime we could afford it or were gifted it, we went and saw musicals. Seen Man of La Mancha, The King and I, things like that. And I remember being a child sitting watching Annie and just the story. And I was like, oh my God. And I was a young child. And she's the sun will come up tomorrow. I mean, I know this sounds so silly and like kind of almost cliche, but like that's sort of I thought this is great. I'm going to take this on. And it's, that feeling of you have so much just baggage, trauma, whatever it is. Um, but you don't have to sit in it and you can choose how you view it and how you want to see it. It is something that's, it's here. This is my childhood. And using NLP, I was able to separate that, turn it different colors, turn the volume down, all the things that NLP helps you to do with trauma. And it's still here. I have it. It's a lesson. It's something that that's part of me and is always going to be a part of me. But I don't have to choose to sit in it physically, mentally, spiritually. I can choose to look at the world in that kind of mental state of the what if, the curiosity, the sun will come up tomorrow kind of thing. And I think that has helped me get through, I know that has helped me get through some pretty hard depression in my teen years, up to the point of where I've seen unfortunately, other people commit suicide. And I feel that has saved me from that because I always wanted to hold on to see what was next. And that belief that anything is possible has fueled me to push forward, so to speak.
And that there's something about maybe a subliminal belief that we're all work in progress and we're all learning. And sometimes we learn from our own difficulties, but also we can learn from the people around us and the difficulties around us. But as you say, some people do get stuck in their identification with the sufferer, the wound, and stay wounded rather than becoming wise, which clearly you have been
Yeah,
able to do. And those are,
most days.
pardon?
Okay. I said most days I feel wise.
Well, I think
I,
that's just such an important point to make, because I reflect often how over the years I've been often called Pollyanna for my yeah, that everything will be fine, but and that's actually that's not necessarily true, because in very similar ways to you, I have faced demons, and I actually took an overdose when I was in my 30s, and I was a single parent with three small children, nothing to be proud of or write home about. But that's how dark my world had become. And
yeah,
as a result of that took me into the NLP world. And because I thought, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to be better. I want to move out of it. And the trajectory has been phenomenal, but there have been plateaus and dips, and then so that journey is not a straight line as people
it
often
is.
hope it will be.
Absolutely.
But the
Yes.
key point in resilience, and that mirrors both of our journeys, is that there's a song from, I don't know, maybe the 90s, well, certainly in the UK, and it's I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Yes.
They're never going to
Yep. I remember
get
that
down.
song.
And I
Yeah.
and I think, yeah, that's it. What gets you back up again, and importantly, orientates you towards the
Yeah.
future that you can co-create or contribute to.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. And you know more than because I came to you for help with my kids and the situation that happened with my son. Um, it's not it's not all puppies and rainbows. I mean, things happen in life, and I went through a very, very dark period, and deep depression, several years ago, and it was like really like crawling out of a well. And I had little points of light, and this is the visual that I had during that time is I felt very deep in the well, and I just saw little points of light that I would grab onto.
Yeah.
And that would be where I stayed for just a minute, a day, 2 days, until I felt safe to go back and look for another point of light, crawling out of the well and knowing that there was light up there. And even though I felt dark and depressed and it was hard, I felt I needed to go towards the light to get out of where I was at. And it wasn't easy, and it was horrible. It wasn't a fun place to be, but I had reasons to do that. I wanted to live. I wanted to be there for my kids. I wanted to, more than anything, change. They talk about generational trauma, and I wanted to show them
Mm.
that that could be changed. That this doesn't have to repeat itself, and that drove me right up out of the well, um, and to help save my son. um, that was really hard. But these skills, these techniques, all of these things, they are amazing. They have heart and soul, and it's not just a let's move the picture, let's do this. There's so much to this that can help change, where you are, no matter how bad things are.
Mm.
And you and I have both been in bad uh, places to get to that light.
And the realignment of that like vital connection back to your vital life force and understanding yourself without fear or rejection or shame or any of those things. And yeah, it's such a complex thing, and I deal this every day with my clients. It's so rewarding when you see people putting themselves back together again, and as you say, heading towards the light, metaphorically, metaphysically, spiritually, religiously, however you want to frame it. It really doesn't matter, but that is the journey. And thank you so much for sharing just a small part of it today. We haven't
Yeah.
really had a chance to talk about your phenomenal work that you do. Maybe another time. I really appreciate you sharing some of your journey. But to the point that we didn't get to earlier on, I asked, what was the last thought that you have before you go to sleep at night? Generally.
Generally, the last thought is, well, I guess we'll see what tomorrow brings. I mean, it's always about, the curiosity and the wonder of life that I feel I've brought with me since my childhood. And there's no reason why, as adults, we should let that go. You talk about alignment. That's a big word for me, and especially going into this year, that no matter what you do, as for a living, or where you are in your life, if you can find that alignment, then I think it brings you to where you want to go, where you can go. um, that's a big thing for me. And it's not we started with, I was a teenage runaway, and I've closed, all of this thing. It's not that I've closed 139 million, right? That's a lot, but it's not that. It's that what are the beliefs and the alignment that surrounds me to be able to do that and to help this many people to get to where they want to go and to achieve this. There's so many things happening. And that's something I learned also in NLP. I know we're getting to the end here of the podcast, but also in design human engineering, to be able to look at something, what needs to be there
Yeah,
in order for you to achieve what you want to achieve,
yeah,
in
yeah,
whatever it is
yeah,
that you want to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Bandler talks about what's not there with a client that should be there, and what
Yes.
is there that shouldn't be there, and that's where we work.
That is a powerful statements. Those are powerful statements that I let live in my brain.
Yeah,
What needs to be there for you to
yeah,
achieve this? What is missing? What isn't there? Like I I live in that's part of who I am. And starting kind of closing the loop here, starting with I am NLP. Um, I love this again, technology, whatever you want to call it. It's a beautiful thing that Bandler and John and Kathleen teach, and I'm looking for and you teach, and I'm looking forward to going to another seminar to continue to be a student of life because there's so much to learn and it's exciting.
Totally. Yeah, and I guess I'll close with, I learned something new about myself and other humans and how the world works every single day, and I love it. And I think the energy that fuels us both is curiosity, and there's a sort of a childlike, openness to, yeah, that anything is possible. Anything is possible. And
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing this, Laura. I really hope that whoever watches this will take some inspiration. You are a phenomenal woman, mother, wife, stepmother, business owner, partner, colleague, pioneer, community lead, all those things. And those are all to be celebrated. And so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.